Ragnarok has concluded, ending the show and completing the final chapter in its Season 3 finale. This season focused on the growing divide between the gods and the giants, with Magnus' powers affecting him in unprecedented ways. The final episode raised numerous questions, leaving us to question the reality of it all. Let's delve into the main takeaways as we explain the ending of Ragnarok Season 3. As we approached the conclusion of the final episode, a peaceful atmosphere enveloped Edo. Giants and gods coexisted harmoniously as one, their presence resonating throughout the city. This outcome followed the planned battle at the warehouse, which was called off by Magna when Saxa charged toward them with unyielding determination. Realizing the immense power he possessed, Magna stood at the crossroads of decision, where the weight of his choices could shape the future. In that pivotal moment, he chose the higher path of peace, recognizing it as a more logical option that aligned with his values and aspirations. This decision symbolized a recurring theme throughout the character's journey: the profound significance of choosing life over death, compassion over destruction. It's worth noting that this choice starkly contrasts with Magna's mindset in previous episodes of the season. His newfound power had gone to his head, transforming him into a different person entirely. Consumed by his own might, he regarded those less powerful as beneath him, manipulating and pushing away those he once deeply cared for. It was only when Wutan, a wise mentor figure, reminded Magna that wielding the hammer came with great responsibility, leading to a life of purpose rather than causing devastation and death, that his perspective shifted. He felt the weight of letting down his father and Isolde, his beloved friend, which fueled his frustration and desire to make amends. Not being able to intervene in Shuttle's actions, a force representing corruption and exploitation, was a source of disappointment for Magna. Having experienced life's hardships firsthand, he despised the authority wielded by the wealthy over the less fortunate, fueling his determination to bring about change. However, the truce declared in the previous episode, along with the subsequent disarming, allowed for peaceful coexistence, demonstrating that Magna acted upon his vision. During Magna's graduation ceremony, scenes from Ragnarok, the final battle between gods and giants, were intercut, creating a tapestry of contrasting worlds. This artistic choice stemmed from Magna rediscovering a comic book from his childhood and immersing himself in its pages. It suggested the possibility that everything we witnessed might have existed solely in his imagination, a form of escapism from the harsh reality he endured. Reading tales and stories became his coping mechanism, potentially distorting his perception of reality. As the comic book unfolded, we witnessed the deaths of all the gods and giants, even the appearance of a massive serpent representing little, the embodiment of chaos. However, in reality, all the characters remained unharmed, celebrating graduation together. This juxtaposition hinted that Magna's imaginative world might have been a construct to overcome his trauma, with Isolde's death being a triggering event, especially since it occurred in his hometown. Saxa, Ran, and Fjord, as the heads of Shuttle, symbolized the giants in Magna's eyes, representing evil, pollution, death, and the unemployment plaguing Edo. Conversely, the gods, whom Magna idolized through his childhood fascination with Thor, may have represented himself and the people he cared about, a source of inspiration and hope. Interpretation is key in understanding this narrative, and while it may be somewhat frustrating, it adds an intriguing layer to the story. Magna's death as Thor during Ragnarok symbolized his release from trauma and the burdens he felt compelled to carry. The parallel with Norse mythology, where Thor perishes from serpent venom, mirrored Magna's imaginative journey. However, in reality, Magna was alive and well, surrounded by friends and family at the graduation table. As his soldier persona faded away, the words, "I'll always be with you," echoed, prompting him to discard the Thor comics, signifying his complete transformation and the possible unreality of his imaginative world. This unconventional ending presents an intriguing departure from previous expectations and will likely generate divergent opinions among the show's fan base. While some may find it unsatisfying, others will appreciate the complex layers and thought-provoking themes woven throughout the season. Overall, I found this season of the show to be satisfactory. but I believe it didn't quite live up to the strong standards set by the previous 2 seasons, primarily due to the ambiguous ending. The pacing of the season felt slightly erratic, jumping between moments and not always aligning with the natural rhythm of the unfolding storyline. Additionally, some plot lines seemed to lack substance, like the frustration surrounding Shuttle in the first half of the season, which was introduced but never revisited. Similarly, Fior's passion for killing was abruptly dropped without any consequences or explanation. These aspects were brushed over and left unexplored, possibly due to the limited number of episodes, only 6, when the story would have benefited from a more extended run, perhaps around 8 episodes. Visually, the show always impressed with its breathtaking shots and stunning fjord scenery, effectively immersing us in the Norse mythology and environment. However, I would have appreciated a more pronounced visual perspective that further explored the contrast between Magna's imaginative world and reality. The main cast delivered solid performances, making the best of the material they were given. Magna's performance stood out, capturing the character's transformation and growth, followed closely by Lauritz, whose portrayal added depth to the overall narrative. In conclusion, while this season of the show had its strengths and weaknesses, it presented thought-provoking concepts and a departure from traditional storytelling conventions. The ambiguous ending, though divisive, left room for interpretation and opened up discussions among viewers. As the curtain fell on this chapter, it left us with much to ponder and reflect upon, ensuring that the impact of the show will continue to resonate long after its conclusion. One significant concern I had with this season was that Magna, the main character, became increasingly unlikable as the story progressed. This made it difficult for me to root for him and invest emotionally in his journey. While I didn't particularly support the antagonistic giants, I found myself growing frustrated with Magna's choices and actions, leaving me indifferent towards the other characters as well. This lack of emotional connection was a detrimental direction for the show because, ultimately, if you don't care about the characters, why would you continue watching? However, amidst my concerns, I appreciated the fact that instead of resorting to a typical battle climax, the season concluded with Ader, a supporting character, bringing peace between the giants and gods. This unexpected turn enabled them to coexist harmoniously, showcasing a more nuanced resolution to the conflict. A battle would have been underwhelming, especially in a warehouse setting with Saxa as the sole assailant. The intercutting between the climactic Ragnarok and the reality of the characters' lives added a nice touch to the finale, particularly from a visual standpoint. It provided captivating imagery, evoked strong emotions, and delivered some of the season's most memorable moments. While the show had an acceptable story, I couldn't help but feel that it could have been executed more effectively. Perhaps with additional episodes or a longer runtime, the narrative could have been given more breathing room for further development. Nonetheless, considering its limited runtime, the show served its purpose reasonably well. Despite the limitations, I'm fairly satisfied with the outcome and the overall experience of watching Ragnarok Season 3. What are your thoughts on this final season? Share your comments below, and don't forget to subscribe. Until next time.